Yeah, man, I was about to start off with this Eric Holder thing because he's eligible for parole in 16 years, which is would be 2039. And it turns out that would be after he served 20 years because 2019 was the offense year, the offense date, March of 2019. And it turns out the reason why he's eligible for parole in 2039, which is
Hmm.
nowhere near what the date should be for someone that was sentenced to 60 years to life, is because of an elderly parole program. This was a law passed back in 2021, so it's relatively new. I ain't never heard of it before, but thanks to the Streets and Scholars listeners, a whole bunch of them tapped in the comments and sent messages about elderly parole program is the reason why Eric Holder could possibly get out of prison in 16 years.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with that. You know what I mean? I had never heard that, but like you said, it's a brand new thing. Um, if you're 50, you can do what they say, 20 years and be
Yeah,
50. Yeah, that's wild right there. But hey, man, it is what it is, man. They changing these laws all the time. That may work for him. Shit, I'm 50 now. You know what I mean? How old will he be though in 2039?
in 2039 he'd actually be 49 years old. And when I was reading this, it says you have to have both of them. You have to be 20 years into your sentence and have reached the age of 50.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe because he'll be 49, maybe they're saying, he'll be eligible.
Or
But
maybe the dates fall that when it do fall, his birthday had beaten past or something like that, and he could be beaten turning 50 or have turned 50 or something of that nature.
yeah, but most people who, if they remember when he got arrested, it was a big deal that he was 29 years old. There was a 29-year-old Eric Holder charged with killing Nipsey. So he'll be 49 for sure, but he's most likely eligible for this elderly parole program that passed in 2021. And, the more and more that people hear about this, I think a lot of people, especially victims' families, is going to be pissed.
Well, the thing about it is this: I'm gonna tell them straight up, don't be. Cause just because you're eligible for a parole board hearing, don't mean you're going to get granted a release. I know dudes have been to the board 3 or 4, 5, 6 times, man, and still get denied. I believe his situation would be the same based on the original sentence that he had. They do take that into consideration. Can't get 60 and just do 20. But if it is a rehabilitation that they added on to the CDC, then 20 years for some people is enough time to be to learn your lesson. But on the flip side, man, you took a life. So if I was a family member, I would be pissed too. But I just don't believe that he's going to even get paroled, or just because you have a hearing don't mean they're going to grant it.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's very difficult to get eligible or get released on your first date, but it says here that you have to meet certain requirements. So if Eric Holder hits the penitentiary yard and he's gang banging and he's getting write ups and his points is going up, they won't look at that favorable when he goes to board in 2039. He's
No,
got
they
to be right. He's got to be behaving, I don't know, perfectly, right?
True, but at the same time, it could work in a different way. If he have, 10 situations where he got his ass kicked, or he got, 7 times that he's been stabbed, in these certain situations, they may take that into consideration and say, okay, man, this dude they didn't let his ass up in here, man. You know what I mean? He done did the 20, he done been stabbed 7 times, man. He done been jumped 10 times. We gonna get the dude up out of here and believe that he learned his sentence. I don't think he'll ever come home. I think I think he'll be 70 before he come home, Alex. I don't think none of those dates are going to apply to him. To be honest with you, they just hearings, they just formalities that they put in place for other people, maybe. But in his situation, I don't got it happening.
Oh man, that's jacked up because how many times have we heard of somebody being we thinking, oh, they ain't never coming home, they washed up, and we find out through some loophole they came home. And shoot, we talking about 20 years from now. I think this dude could easily get out of prison, maybe not in 16, not after his first date, but let's say he goes to board and they make him wait another 3. that will be 20, that will be 19 years from now. I see him getting out, actually. I really do.
Yeah, I don't. Basically, he was 29 years old, man. He was old enough to know exactly what he was doing. He wasn't a 20-year-old whose brain hadn't fully developed, and you're not gonna be able to use none of those situations. You was a full grown man, bro, when you did this. You know, you on video doing it. I don't see it.
Well, this is the fact sheet from the CDC that talks about this elderly parole thing, and it was passed by the California state legislature in January of 2021. Well, it became law in January of
Hmm.
2021. It's called AB 3234 for anybody who wants to tap in and do some research on that. Man, this is all new information to me, man, and I just learned about it by tapping in with the people that have been tapping in with us.
Well, no, that's cool, but I'm finna tap in with some of the homies and see if they even know about this. You know what I mean? There's a few homies been down the dub and they over 50. They may not even have heard of this program yet. They may have. Um, but I'm gonna make sure that they know about it. Like you say, I hadn't heard nothing at all about it. So, I do believe that after 20 years, man, and you get a certain age, at least your mindset do change. Your feelings do change, in a whole lot of situations. It's just in this particular situation, man, this was like I said, we seen the whole thing on video. We seen, how he did it. This is not a alleged. This is not a, well, maybe, this is. So at the end of the day, man, on this particular one, I just don't know. I don't see it happen.
Well, I think that the mental health is going to become a big part of consideration because it wasn't even considered during trial. It was only considered during sentencing. And I also think that that might be some grounds of appeal where some appellate attorneys can say, look, this guy was sentenced. They washed him up 60 years to life and never considered any of the mental illness during the trial. Now, think about this. If the jury was able to get his mental health history,
Hmm.
maybe they would have looked at a lesser offense than first degree premeditated. Maybe they would have went with second degree or possibly the manslaughter that they were trying to get, but the jury never heard about any of the mental health issues. So I think that part has to be considered as well. If the CDC really wants to put that R on it,
Hmm.
CDCR, so yeah, I see bro getting out soon. I mean,
Well,
not soon, but at
right.
some point.
Well, I agree with you on the mental health issue part, or appeal it part. I agree with you on that. He can find a loophole where he can bounce out with the motion that changes something. I'm just saying without the motion that changes something, without the, ideology of his mental health being took into consideration, just on the strength of he got this 60 right now and in 20 years, and he 50. I'm saying on those circumstances, I think he can beat it or get some love on an appeal or a new trial or something like that before he get out on after doing 20 and being 50. So I'm halfway right. I mean, I'm halfway with you, but without those other circumstances, just what he have now, I don't think he'll come home just off the 20 and the 50 at this point.
And also the when I was reading over the elderly parole program, they will let the family know. They will let Nipsey Hussle's family know that this is what's going on. He's got a parole date, a eligibility date, and they will invite the family to come to the parole hearing so that they could express their concerns. But because they didn't even participate in the trial, I doubt that Nipsey Hussle's family would even participate in any of these parole hearings. So that's better for Eric Holder because he doesn't have to deal with family saying we don't want you to release him, right? That hurts your chances of getting out when family shows up to your parole dates and says no, don't let him out. We feel like he needs to do more time. I don't think anyone on Nipsey Hussle's family side would even do that because they never showed up.
No doubt, but that was at the moment of the trial. Who's to say in 20 years, I believe he had a child. I don't know if it was a son or a daughter. Who's to say that his kid wouldn't show up there alone by
Oh,
themselves saying, no, this is my dad. I'd never get to know my dad based on what this dude did. So the family could not show up, but that child may feel different. And
oh yeah.
by being the child saying, I want to go, mom may follow him, brother may follow him. So it could be a different situation come 20 years.
That's true. I didn't think about the child. He has a daughter from a previous relationship before Lauren London, and I think him and Lauren just had a kid as well.
Right, no doubt.
So so he's got two kids. that are going to be, around in their early 20s when he's eligible. So if they show up, yeah, he probably won't get out at that time. But yeah, this is an interesting program. And what you said about letting other people know that don't know, it's crazy because there's so many new laws that dudes in prison don't be knowing. They're on the books and they could benefit from it, but they don't. It's not like they go to the prison and say, "Hey, by the way, fellas, there's this new law that can help you guys."
Right, right.
You
No,
just
no doubt.
what you got to do, go to the library or just do your own research from prison.
Actually, man, you got to have that outside help as well, family members. You know what I mean? Like you say, you do got the dudes up in the law library. And once this type of information get out, you know what I mean. Um, it really circulates. When I was at Victorville, my wife was a super proponent in getting us the information that we need. I mean, the homies used to call her a superstar, based on she would make sure that we get the information we need to help somebody fight a case. So, it's family, it's on the inside, but sometimes on the inside, we don't get that information as quick.
Now, I wonder if a new law like this that just came out in 2021 would benefit people that have been convicted in the past. Is it retroactive? Do all the new laws actually work like that, where old inmates could benefit from it, or you have to really read the specifics of each law?
Well, at the end of the day, Alex, it's crazy to say that they rely on numbers. They do the numbers before they do a whole lot of other things, and they determine how many people will be released. Don't forget, you got shareholders involved in the prison politics. Because traded on Nasdaq, on the stock market. So if it's a super amount of people who may be released, they may not make it retro. If it's something that they won't lose the shareholders' money by letting these people out, then they'll make it retroactive, as long as it doesn't, there's no kind of mandatory minimums involved in there that where it would have to go to Congress, but they could easily make it retroactive, and I believe they should.